Geles, griots, oracles, the wisdom keepers of ancient knowledge from the beginning of time have always expressed their messages of wisdom through storytelling. This is because such wisdom keepers are self masters. And with self mastery, there are so many profound messages that are taught to us, not only from the wisdom that we carry in ourselves, in our DNA, our ancestors, but from the infinite cosmos. In this conversation that we are having today, I have the pleasure and honor of speaking with a wisdom keeper, the pioneering hip hop icon, Easy A.D. of the legendary Cold Crush Brothers. He will be speaking about the art of fasting from man to Superman. And I am so thrilled to have this conversation with this master because he embodies the wisdom that he speaks on. So without further ado, let's welcome our global audience to the iconic Easy A.D. How are you doing, A.D.?
Um, um, I'm in balance. That's how I'm doing.
Well, you look it, that's for sure.
I'll definitely appreciate that. I think that um, if you are going to grow and share information, as they say in layman terms, you have to, if you're going to talk the talk, you have to walk the walk.
And I completely agree with you, and that's the reason why I will consistently reinforce in these rhythm ciphers that wisdom is about self mastery. And it's exactly what you just said, because the purpose for this platform is to reinforce to our audience that not only are we connected to Source, we are Source. We are that vibration that we have learned about, not from just reading books, not just from scholars of metaphysics and the occult and so on and so forth, but we know in our very own heartbeats that once we carry the vibration of wisdom, that enables us to have this clairvoyance, this third eye ability that helps us to guarantee that we are harmonious and balanced and that we have the confidence to walk the walk and not just talk the talk, because enough of that has happened. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I always use metaphors like this. The question is always, which program have you tuned into?
Mhm.
And the essence of us growing up is a lot of our parents and our siblings who are older than us um, always say, um, tell you to do things that are positive. And I could give one example. They tell you, oh, don't smoke, but yet you see them smoking.
Right.
They will use the example, don't use profanity or don't curse, but yet you hear them curse. So if you are a young mind that's being that's growing and being and very impressionable, you become very confused on how you should behave and whether you trust people or do they tell the truth. So you're already injected into a world where it seems like everyone's telling a lie.
And I agree with you as well. But because I've had the privilege of knowing you, I know that despite your conditionings, despite being a pioneer of hip hop, growing up in the Bronx in New York City, surrounded by so much debauchery, that there is this intuitive vibration that has always existed inside of you. And I remember you sharing how you got started on this powerful journey of fasting and gaining so many benefits from fasting. So I would love for you to share with our audience about what inspired and ignited the passion for fasting for you?
Of course, absolutely. So, as a young person growing up in the South Bronx, I used to frequently go to the Hoe Avenue Boys and Girls Club, which is located at 1665 Vice Avenue in the Bronx. At the Boys Club, we did many different things. We played a lot of basketball. We played a lot of basketball tournaments. We traveled around all five boroughs. I met this gentleman. His name is Fakadeen, and he was in the Muslim religion, which I was not familiar about at that age. But he used to take us down to 116th Street and the mosque on 116th Street, and just introduce us to that religion. Um, and he's also used to take us to get us some bean soup and cornbread next door where I later found out that the mosque, they owned that restaurant, because the people in there obviously looked like the people in the mosque. They had the garb on and the turbans on and stuff like that. And so in the midst of that, um, um, they gave us things to read. And so I began reading some of the literature that was given to us, and a lot of the literature was focusing on health. And again, at the age of whatever 10, 11, that word health doesn't really mean much to you. And so I began just reading literature, and one of the primary focuses was that they didn't eat any pork. And I was like, okay, they don't eat any pork. Pork is from the pig. They described in the book how how pigs are bred and raised and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, I'm starting to get an idea of food consumption, eating food. Like, there are things that are bad for you, and you know, you were introduced to that as a kid. Like, things you never, no one said food is bad for you, or types of food. And then moving on, we went down there a couple of times and everything, and then at some point in my existence, I was handed a book that propelled me to a space of information, inquisitivity. I wanted to find out, oh, what's going on in that book. It ignited something in my brain on understanding about food, and how it can hurt your body. And no one has ever said those words, like food could hurt your body. Like, why is that possible? So I started reading the book, and then I was like, okay, understanding that. So that set me on the path to understanding all the beliefs or things that was embedded into me as a young person. Primary example is 3 square meals a day. Keeps the doctor away, Apple, and all those things, like all those jingles and stuff like that. Came into question in such a young man's life. Like, I was like, oh, all these things, for like who create those things, who created them. So I was started asking those questions, and then it was November, Thanksgiving. My mother, um, which first of all, she did the thing, and as our parents do in the kitchen, on they make all the wonderful things on Thanksgiving, pies, ham, pig feet, things like that. And so I consumed some pig feet, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and I began throwing up. And I've never did that. I never experienced throwing up like that in my entire life. And I was
Wow.
like, you know what? I am never going to eat meat again.
What age were you when you had that revelation, and then, of course, that very physical, visceral experience of your body rejecting food that was prepared, right, out of love, your mother, but your body also knowing that this is not something that I should consume?
I think I've, if I can remember correctly, I would say between the ages of 13 and 15.
So you were pretty young. So was that also around the time when you fasted for the first time, or what age were you, do you recall, when you fasted, and can you express how long the duration of the fast was and what the experience was like for you when you fasted for the first time.
Well, when I began fasting, I don't remember actually the exact age, but I remember just saying, I'm not going to eat for a couple of days,
Wow.
right? I'm not eating any food. And no one told me to do that. Nothing said, oh, fast. I just began experimenting with myself. So I experimented, well, not eating food. I just drank water or things like that. So, and what I felt from that is I felt at the time I was like I felt like it was giving my body a rest, not knowing at that present time what was I was actually doing. So it was an experiment. So fasting became something that I did to to relax my body, give my digestive system a rest, and I began realizing like I felt extremely good and energetic even more after fasting. The first day would be the toughest, um, and later on, as I developed, I understood why it would be the toughest day, just the first day of 24 hours of fasting. But at that time, I began fasting, and one of the things that my mother incorporated, as I told her I'm not going to eat meat, she would make my food different. She would make my collard greens with no meat in it, my stuffing with no meat in it, and stuff like that. And so she just started like making my food separate, uh, things like that. So yeah,
I I love everything that you're sharing because what this resonates in my spirit, in my heart with is that the source that we are, that is infinitely wise, communicates with us certain changes or certain things that it wants us to experience for our longevity, for our happiness. I don't think it was happenstance or just by chance that your body rejected the meat and that your intuition called you to say, let me abstain from food for a few days. Because what that's communicating with me, and I've had several experiences beyond fasting using other wisdom techniques that have shown me this tremendous power that exists inside of me when I choose to direct my life a certain kind of way. And what I'm hearing from you is you make a choice and you commit yourself to that choice, and there is no moving back and forth and away from your choice. And we both know that discipline is a struggle for a lot of people, especially when it comes to removing yourself from the idea of what the culture of food is all about. Celebratory times and not engaging, and then even having this tug of war with family sometimes. Gratefully, your mother honored and respected your choice. But I think a lot of the reasons why some of us don't step deeper into the wisdom that our own infinite source is asking us to partake of is because of this tug of war with our society, our jobs, our families. You shared with me recently that you watched a documentary on fasting. Would you say that in addition to your intuition, it's your search for information and how that information resonates with you that makes you formidable and strong in your choices to be disciplined?
absolutely. The answer to that question is yes. So we're gonna move forward like as me as an adult, right? So that young as a young person going through the steps, I just learned a lot of things. So um, I was watching a documentary on fasting, and there's different type of fast that you can do. All right, some people can't fast because of their certain conditions and they're doing certain things, did certain things to their body, and you if you're going to go on a fast, it would be recommended that before you do so, you go see a professional.
And by the way, not to interject the iconic AD here, but we are not medical practitioners. This information is solely for you to receive information and do with it what you will. But I would say as a disclaimer, please connect with your naturopath, your acupuncturist, whoever is seen in the eyes of the society as someone that can give you diagnoses and guidance. So returning to AD. Yes.
So, in my travels and trials on myself, so I experimented on me, right, to understand the levels of fasting. Um, and what I've experienced over the years, there's many different levels in which I've gone through. I've done a water fast, and just water. There's nothing else but water.
For how long do you recall
Like
levels?
20, 21 days, 20 days, 21 days, something like that. All right, so doing that without, based on your energy, and a lot of people, one of the things I don't ever do, I never ever go against my energy, right? So over the years and many years that I've fasted, remember, as I said, I have done different fasts. Um, my energy tells me when to fast. And sometimes I fast 4 times a year, sometimes 3 times a year. And each time is a different type of fast, right? So I was watching this documentary, and what I saw in the documentary is the things were being named, right? So there's things that are named. There's things that I experienced on my fast that happened to me, and happened to my body, that I could feel, right? But there was no name to what was happening, but I can feel those things. So one of the things I always I like to share is like fasting is an evolution of oneself, right? To fast, there's things that you must do. You must be disciplined. You must honor um, the things that are presently in your life. Um, and you, in order for you to be in connected to the energy on this planet, is that gives you balance. You have to be in tune to the things and honor the things that are given to you. For example, you have to honor the rain. You have to honor the wind. You have to honor the soil. You have to honor the plants. You have to honor the things that were placed here to keep that gives you balance. And doing your fast, you will be you will honor those things because it's part of the energy. The energy tells you this. And then doing your fast, whether it's 21 days, 14 days, you begin several things. You appreciate things that you do that happen to you, or that you take for granted. For instance, being able to take a shower, being able to wake up in the morning, being able to open up your refrigerator and get some food or some water, being able to walk downstairs, upstairs, being able to talk. Some of the things that happen to you during your fast is everything becomes heightened. Your sense of smell, your sense of taste, your sight, your brain becomes sharper. Um, it's a spiritual and energetic energy cleanse that brings you back to balance. And referring to the documentary, those things happen, and they were named. And one of the things that I know that has happened to me is when you're cleaning your system, when you give your system a rest, everything's regenerating. Your cells regenerated. Everything's regenerating. So that means it. In the documentary, it said that the cell, something comes out of the cell. It's sent into your body. I don't recall the exact name of what, but it's like some kind of fusion or explosion, and the cell explodes, separate, and it goes to all the places and to repair the things that are not feeling good. Whether your hip could be hurting, your leg could be hurting, everything is starting to be fixed, regenerated. Also, fasting slows down the aging process.
I'm sure a lot of our viewers are happy to hear that part since people in many places on this planet are going ham, going crazy, trying to find the pill of immortality. And unfortunately, through my research, they do these things in very dangerous ways, in the sense that they're harming people to gain what they themselves can do. And that's why I just want to reinforce the aspect of discipline, and how when you do have discipline, you develop this autonomy and this dominion where nothing, whatever's happening in the world, it does not influence the choice that you've decided to drink water only for 21 days. And the benefits are so pronounced, it's everywhere, that the physical benefits are there, but then also, from my experience of fasting, the appreciation for and of life is there. And this is just such a crucial point to make, because I personally feel that if as humans we really got back, we became more adept at appreciating our lives and appreciating life, we would appreciate each other more. We would appreciate and see just how much life gives to us. There would be this connection to celebrate, which is what these ciphers are all about. Celebrate the fact that you get to wake up. You actually get to wake up and have this very phenomenal experience. And I am certain, because you have accomplished so much in your life and you have opened up your channel to receive this extraordinary information, that because you are receptive to wisdom, these accomplishments have not only benefited your life, they have benefited millions of people. So I would like for you to share with our audience how the fact that you are, how can I put it, disciplined once again to love yourself, and you're disciplined to understand that in loving yourself strengthens your connections and your vibration to these high, cosmic, incredible vibrations. What has it permitted you to do in your life that has enabled you to not only be a blessing to yourself, but a blessing to others, and to share your wisdom on great platforms?
Before you can make change externally, you have to make change within. Discipline, to be disciplined allows you to pursue something or some things with a vigor that there is no obstacle in your space. Discipline allows you to be present all the time. It allows you to see from every space and place, meaning that when you're disciplined, it's like waking up and every morning and the birds are singing, not for you, I mean, singing for you, but not just to wake up the plants that they do when they twerk. Discipline allows harmony within oneself and one's soul and one's space. It allows you to move your dreams and bring them to life and make them happen. But there's what we call fasting, and then they're called fasts.
The
So-
double entendre, that word, where
That's
fasting is exceptional, but everyone wants, a lot of people want things fast.
Right. So the right on the right side fast is fast food. Everything you want immediate, right? You want it today, you want it tomorrow. So fast food. So everything that's on the right side of the fast is very destructive to one's body, one's mind, and one's existence, and it's temporary.
Talk about it.
And the other fasting, it brings one in harmony with everything on the planet, meaning with oneself, with all the elements that exist, and also with the human diaspora, the human being. It brings you with one, and you began to understand and appreciate that everyone has a story, and everyone's different, and you learn how to appreciate those differences. Like fasting is like going from man to Superman, basically. So when you begin to fast, you are a man or woman, right? So you're there. It's a journey, right? So you begin to understand that the food that you consume is not only is really killing you slowly. There's many different effects that the food that you consume. I would say I'm using the wrong word killing. It's destroying your cells. Fasting regenerates your cell. It it is it's euphoric, right? So when you fast, you're going through a withdrawal syndrome where, like, your first day, you have a massive headache. You're feeling dizzy, and and you're not even hungry. You want some medicine to get rid of that pain, and that medicine is the food with the drugs in it.
Ooh, you have said a word, AD. You have said a word because I think for a lot of us, the difficulty of what the body goes through is what is very challenging. And I also know sometimes, like when your life is very demanding, you could be a single parent or you could be in a full-fledged relationship, but your work is very demanding. Let's say you're not resting the way that you should be resting. And although people have become better with meal preps and so on and so forth, even then we know about the spiritual alchemy of preparing your own foods. So we live in a modern world, and the phenomenal late Malidoma Patrice Somé speaks about modernity a lot of times, wherein I think a lot of people feel very oppressed by their circumstances. What would you say that fasting actually offers as a blessing and a benefit despite all of these variables of feeling oppressed? Because as we're having this conversation, in my own experiences, fasting, you said, is euphoric. It's like this lightness that gives your third eye ability, that just like clears all of the muck and helps you to see and feel and hear in ways that our sometimes very oppressive society does not want us to see and hear and feel. What wisdom can you deposit to them to reaffirm that they do have the power to become a master of themselves, so that they can have this wisdom to not only have a healthier, youthful body and not only have biological processes that help them to heal illnesses, chronic illnesses of migraines and high blood pressure, to remedy anemia, poor circulation, low energy and fatigue and all these things. The same way the body has the power to put us through a metamorphosis where we can heal, it also applies that on the spiritual, again, mental, emotional side. And that's why I'm saying all this to say that I know that everyone has the capacity. And let's listen to AD to hear how he has been able to overcome certain challenges that may not be in fasting, right? But how he surmounted certain challenges to affirm for all of us that whatever we truly want, we can accomplish so that it can benefit us and everyone and everything that we are connected to.
I would share this. I think you have to look at the question you have to ask yourself is, which program have I signed up for?
Powerful, yeah.
Right. So there are many programs that are set forth for you. Right. So one of the programs could be, I can eat anything I want. And so by the age of 15 or 16, they consider you obese. And then the next level is type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, hypertension. So that between the ages of 40 and 50, you're prone to have a heart attack. That's a program that a lot of people have signed up for. They assume they associate and justify their age based on their condition, and that's another program people signed up for. So in order for you to make change, meaning to buckle down and make change, if that's something you want to do, right? Because some people are very satisfied in the program they have signed up for, because it doesn't require much, right? So the program of that I've signed up for is a program I call evolution, meaning that every day there's something I learn because I experimented with myself, learning about fasting before I even knew anything about it. So I would say people who are very extremely busy. First of all, one of the things we shared is you have to be disciplined in yourself before you even make any decisions to do anything outside of yourself. You have to become disciplined. So that means that you have to buy into your program discipline. So what is discipline? Discipline is doing something that benefits and it's going to make your life better consistently. That's what it is. So if you're a person and you look in the mirror, you go, "Oh, I don't like what I see." So then you say, "Okay, I'm going to make either a physical change, a mental change, or a spiritual change to myself." And then on one of those changes, you are consistent with that. So say you say, "I'm going to make a physical change," and the question is, which program of the physical change you're going to sign up for, right? You can sign up for taking medication or taking injections to to make you slimmer, or you can say, "Oh, I'm going to join the gym," right? That's another program. Joining the gym, that's just a space. It doesn't change anything, right? And then some people say, "I'm going to join the gym and hire a trainer." All those things may be programs that can improve you, but they're what you call like a band-aid. They're temporary because those cycles come every year. Gym memberships every year they offer the same January through maybe the end of January. They have gym memberships at low prices, and most of the time people stop coming to the gym. Um, in order to be healthy, you don't have to go to a gym ever. Don't have to ever go to a gym. The being healthy is not only physically. So let's go. Let's start with the environment. You have to really evaluate your environment, right? That would be the first thing. You have to look at the space in which you live in, the space in which you sleep in, and you say, is my space organized? Is it in order? Meaning, are my clothes in order? Is my shoes in order? Are my books in order? Is my house clean? Because your house is a representation of what's inside of you, right? So is your house clean? Do I honor my space? Do I treat it really good? Or do I only clean it when I have guests? Right. So that's the story. You have to honor the space in which you live in, right? Because that's your space where you're gonna come. You're gonna rest. You're gonna develop, right? So that would be the first step. Your space, your home, right? And then you go to the next space. If you do have children, you said, am I honoring my young people, or am I just dictating to them what I want them to do? Right? Do you listen to your young people? Do you respect the young people in your life? Right? And do they respect you? That harmony, that has to be in union. And then the next step would be, all right, now, what am I? Have I bought into the history of my family concepts of consuming food? Do we celebrate these holidays? Do we eat food like this? Do we make food like this? And what type of effect does it have on us long term, right? And then you can talk with people after you evaluate those things. You look at your family, and then you say, okay, great. Then you can start making I would say adjustments. So the first adjustment would exercise you would do, you would go in your cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
You will everything that you buy consistently, you would take that label and you will go and you will write down all the ingredients on that label and find out the definition of those ingredients. That's another exercise,
Mm-hmm.
which takes discipline. This is a very extreme case. Then you would look at those ingredients and then find out how those ingredients affect your body when consuming those ingredients. Then once you do that, this is a long term, right? Because those ingredients affect not only you, but affect the people you're cooking for,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's the next step. So remember, you're developing discipline because you went from one level, one step, and doing this discipline, you're gonna learn a lot. You're gonna meet people that tell that's gonna share with you and try to discourage you of moving forward. So once you do that, then you say, okay, now I want to evaluate what I'm absorbing in my mind on a daily basis, whether I'm reading books or I'm watching TV or I'm programmed to get up in the morning, wash up, brush my teeth, eat breakfast, get my family ready, drop them off to school, go to work, come back home, do the same thing. So you have to disrupt those transmitters in your brain to make a change. A change it's going to take time, but when you reach the level that you want to reach, you will be pleased. You will feel free, right? You won't be clogged up. It'll be honored. It's like it's going through a journey. So my fasting is not just 21 days. It's been a journey of my entire life. Everything from the shoes I wear, the socks that I purchase, to the water in which I drink, um, putting filters on your shower, right? Because this is a membrane; it absorbs everything, right? So looking at everything from an aspect of I need to find out information, right? Fasting is just one space, one level, and there's many different types of fast. You can do a fast where you don't eat from 12 to 12, from 12 in the afternoon to 12 the next day. That's a 24-hour fast,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you can understand, like, your body can start regulating. So you look at your body as I would say, like a car, right? Your heart is the engine. When something's wrong with your heart, you go to the doctors, find out what's going wrong with your engine.
Mm-hmm.
Because something ain't right. You feel a little pressure here. Something the blood the oil as a car, but the oil in the body is the blood. So the blood ain't going to flow. So you go get that checked out. And even you rush your car. You don't ride the car. You don't ride around in the car every day.
No,
That's right.
24/7, right?
And then you have to change the oil in your car to
Mm-hmm.
make it run smoother. That same aspect is with the human body. Fasting, you give it a rest.
Mm-hmm.
You let it regenerate.
Mm-hmm.
The water clean helps cleanse and clean out. You get the proper rest. So it is a lifestyle. It's not a. It's not. It's a fasting is a lifestyle. It's not. It's not. It's not a one thing, right? So there's levels to it. I know I delved in and out of different things, but um, I've experimented on myself in many different ways. Um, as I said before, when I wake up one day, my energy says you're fasting.
So, what I would like to offer to our audience is you have basically brought to the forefront so many gems, and I'm optimistic that those gems are actually luminous, are just like brightening up our listeners so that they can see that there isn't a separation. Being a master does not make you better than anyone. Self mastery has nothing to do with being competitive with anyone, saying, oh, he was able to do 21, I'm going to go for 25. Or because my body is healthier, I'm better than you. This is not the purpose of this conversation. This is the purpose of amplifying what wisdom truly is. Because in this era of modernity, everything goes. And that is not the truth nor the reality in my world. I will not say what is truth and real to anyone. However, the ancient principles of cause and effect communicate to me what truth is versus fantasy. And when we develop a stronger awareness as people who have discipline to put our bodies through strenuous times of dealing with parasites and infections and thought patterns and so on and so forth that's trying to defeat us and defeating those things, we understand that everything does not go because the purpose of our existence is to maintain this very beautiful, powerful vessel for our source energy that is infinite and loving and supportive to operate through us so that we can have deeper insight, so that that psychic, telepathic, clairvoyant energy that moving as fast as lightning or even faster than lightning that we've heard about, right? The stories of our ancient ancestors. It is also in our molecules, in our DNA, in our quantum field. And I prefer to exist in a world, in a society where people are so aware and attuned to themselves that they are not constantly feeling defeated by their past, by childhood trauma, by racism, by injustice, by global destruction of our ecology and our environment. But instead, in operating within these techniques, what are we able to do? We're able to become more creative and inventive, the way the phenomenal builders of the Merkuti, the pyramids throughout this planet obviously show us there is a cause to that type of effect. And so while we may not want to build more pyramids, why not do our very best to engineer an operating system that has the ability to be an intergalactic spaceship, that has the ability to master 25 foreign languages or more, that has the ability to be like Kobe and master that Mamba and that, just so many different things we have intrinsically inside of us. And we are having this conversation because it is time to awaken to the fact that we are super. It is time to remove ourselves from these habitual day in, day out practices that are self-destructive. Ultimately, it is time to be so in love with ourselves that living and just living for living's sake is not that significant. But living to our optimal best is why we wake up in the morning. Living to feel that connection, to feel more, to hear more, to see more, to sense more, and to do more. A.D., are there any other highlights or gems that you would like to impart upon our audience before we move on to the second segment of our rhythm cipher of art?
The only thing I would like to share is when you get up in the morning and you look in the mirror, just ask that person, um, do you like the person you're looking at? And that's all I would like to share about that. Yeah.
I would like to add to that. We have to remember, and you all can see beautiful melanated people sitting on the sofa. We have to remember that it is by design that certain beings on this planet reinforce negativity. And to just keep it very succinct, I would like to share something that I saw on the subway and the train. Today's mighty oak is the nut that held its ground. No matter what is happening outside of us, we truly are born with the power. We have everything in us to, despite what others may say about our looks and our history and our legacy, even our environment, even if it may not be conducive, even if we're in a concrete jungle and we're not surrounded by natural foods and fruits, we are the super ones. So I too will leave it with that. Wake up every morning, regardless, loving on yourself, pouring into yourself, because your existence is the gift. Peace and blessings.